Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home, or you are seeking comfort and connection in uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. Together, let us remember our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many links of connection in the description below of the YouTube live stream, including the order of service credits, ways to support our mission, and to be added to our email newsletter list. And here are a few announcements. After the service, please join us for a 20-minute kinship time on Zoom. The link is in the description and in the newsletter. Following kinship, we'll have a workshop with our storyteller, Olivia Bear, on the same link. Join us. At 12:30, people of all ages are invited to join Kathy Underwood and the family ministry team at Emily Oaks Nature Center in Skokie for a spirit-filled nature walk. At 1 p.m. today, Candace Mitchell, the long-term care ombudsman for the city of Evanston, will do a Zoom presentation on selecting and reviewing long-term care options. The link is in the description and in the newsletter. On this Tuesday night, in our adult ed session, Dr. Andy Chatburn, Regional Director of Medical Ethics for 7 hospitals in Washington and Montana, will discuss belonging to one another in a time of rupture, how COVID can change healthcare, caregivers, and relationships. What do you believe? Discover your own credo with Reverend Eileen and Kathy Underwood online starting Tuesday, January 18th. People 12 and up are encouraged to participate. Check the newsletter for more information. And now, please get your chalices ready and set a place for yourself and your family. Welcome to worship.
Good morning. Before I do the opening reading, I just want to make one more announcement that we will have 2 listening sessions regarding our plan to reopen, and those will be on Zoom. It'll be next Sunday, the 16th at 1 p.m., and Wednesday, the 19th at 5:30 p.m., so I hope you'll join us. The links for those will be in the newsletter. Our opening reading is Where Life Sends You by Reverend Teresa I. Soto, UU minister and activist serving the First Unitarian Church of Oakland, California. Where is life sending you? Here, now. Don't flinch. Where will you go? Across the street to learn the name of your neighbor? Across the city to support interfaith dialogue, to witness the practice of neighbors whose faith has different names, uses different words than yours? Is life calling you to come closer to the grief around you? Not with words, but with empathy and kind silence. Sometimes there is no fixing sadness, and we must instead weather it. But together, we make the journey much more possible than alone. Where does life send you? To coffee hour to start the brew, to a class accompanying young students in experiencing everything that Unitarian Universalism can be for us, both as individuals and as a people practicing together in community? Go where your heart pulls you. Catch up to that insistent call, to the thing that waits for you, the soft place where your talent can rest and your joy bubble up. The sound, the lights, the homeless shelter, the tasks of governance practiced with care as much as lighting any chalice, as crucial as singing any song. There is somewhere you can be. There might not be a parking space reserved sign you can see, but there is a yes from you, for you, from the universe. Whether your task is to work or to heal, to rest or to play, it is time to go to where life sends us and be who we are meant to be.
The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. This land was recorded as being transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the United States government in 1829, and then was sold to white settlers. After decades of violent encroachment by the French, British, and then U.S. American settlers, the Potawatomi community had no choice but to sell before they were forcefully moved west of the Mississippi River. The Chicagoland area is now home to one of the largest and most diverse urban Native communities in the United States. Our faith calls us to name these realities with honor and respect as one small effort toward finding greater accountability, deeper relationship, and mutuality with contemporary indigenous communities for the land which we use as sacred space, for the animals and plants that have been sustained by this land, and for our ancestors and descendants who are and will become part of the earth. The caring team, that is, Ellie Fedderson, Dana Dean, Karen Courtwright, Margaret Shackley, Peggy Burkhart, and myself, lights our chalice today, symbol of our living tradition, in gratitude for all of you who give and receive care so graciously in this community. If you would like to be part of the caring team, offering meals or rides, please let one of us or the ministers know. As the chalice is lit, please join in saying these words by Rebecca Savage, Senior Minister at the UU Congregation of Rockville, Maryland. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals. Please join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. If you haven't already, please take a moment to say good morning and introduce yourself in the chat if you can.
Good morning. I'm glad to be joining you for today's service. The story that I am here to tell is one that I'm told you're all familiar with. This version of Stone Soup was written for the 2008 World Food Day by Kevin Grahl. Once upon a time, just as the sun was setting, 3 weary travelers came to the edge of a town. Their feet were blistered, their mouths were dry, and their tummies rumbled with hunger. "I'm starving," said the first traveler. "I'm exhausted," said the second. "Let's stop in this town and ask for help," said the third. Now, the people of this town were by no means rich, and whatever food they had, they kept for themselves. So when they saw the 3 travelers approaching, they said to each other, "Look, we know what they want. Quick, let's hide all the food and pretend like we have nothing." And they did. The travelers approached the first house and knocked gently on the door. "Good day, and peace be with you," said the first traveler. "Would you please kindly share with us a bit of your food and a corner where we could sleep for the night?" asked the second. "We'll tell you all about our travels in return," said the third. "Sorry," said the man of the house. "We gave all our spare food to the travelers who came by last week." "And there's only one room in this house," added his wife. They were lying. The travelers sighed and went on to the next house. "Go away," said the owners. "The harvest was very bad this year, and every bit of food we had is gone." They too were lying. The travelers They knew they were being lied to, but what could they do? They were just about to give up and leave town when the first traveler had an idea. The people of this town, they have a lot to learn. Let's play a little trick on them and teach them a very big lesson. And so, in whispers and in secret signs, their plan unfolded. Then, the first traveler spoke in a big, booming voice so that the nearby townspeople were sure to hear. "How terribly sad! The people of this town, they have no food," he continued. "But never mind, we three shall go into the town, and there, as night falls, we shall make a pot of our delicious and nutritious stone soup." The townspeople were very intrigued. What is stone soup, and how do you make it? Come with us, we'll show you. And bring with you a big pot and some firewood too, the travelers said. So they did. Arriving in the town square, the travelers made a fire, filled a pot with water, and placed it over the fire to boil. "And now," said the first traveler, moving with a big gesture so that everyone could see, reached into a small pouch and pulled out 3 smooth round stones, the special ingredients, and plopped them into the water. "Soon we shall feast." When the news of a feast hit the rest of the town, an excited crowd began to gather in the square. "Just as we'd planned," said the travelers. After a little while, the first traveler said, "And now I shall taste it." "Oh, it's delicious!" The townspeople gasped and gurgled with delight. "Though," the first traveler said, "some may say it could use some salt and pepper, but aside from that, it's practically perfect." Hearing this, the townspeople sent their children to go grab some salt and pepper. They had salt and pepper, and the clever travelers added it to the pot. Then the second traveler tasted the soup. These extraordinary stones sure do make an excellent soup. But some carrots would make it even more delicious. Just then, an old woman called out from the crowd, "I have some carrots at the house, I believe." And off she scurried, coming back with a big sack full of sweet and crunchy carrots. Then the third traveler tasted the soup. Delicious. But the perfect stone soup would have some onions and cabbages. But what's the use in dreaming about ingredients we simply haven't got? At this, an old man from the center of the crowd called out, "I have some onions and cabbages too." And off he went, coming back wheeling a whole barrow full of onions and cabbages, which the travelers, they shredded and added to the pot. After a final tasting, the first traveler paused with a look of total ecstasy. "This soup is totally scrumptious, although a few little fishes and some potatoes and maybe a drop or two of oil or margarine could help the flavor. But aside from that, and maybe some barley, leeks, some herbs and a drop or two of milk or cream, this soup a king would be glad to have." The townspeople were impressed and straight away ran home to grab the ingredients that they had hidden earlier that night, bringing them as offerings, which the travelers piled into the pot. After the soup had been cooking for a while, finally, the travelers announced that it was ready. "But don't worry," said the first traveler. "There's enough for everybody." Tables and chairs were set in the square, and bowls and spoons and napkins too. Torches were lit, and decorations hung. And there, in the center of all the hustle and bustle, a single townsperson called out, "For a soup as special as this, we must give it the best. Bring out the bread and beer and barrels of wine." And so the feast began, and all of the people agreed that they had never tasted anything so delicious in their lives. Later, the travelers told their stories of far and wide as the townspeople listened with rapt attention. And then the townspeople told the travelers all about their lives in the town. And there was singing and dancing until late in the night. Early the next morning, just as the sun was rising, the travelers departed. "Thank you," said the townspeople. "You're welcome," said the travelers. "Come again," said the townspeople. "We will," said the travelers. And they did. And that is the story of stone soup. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Adam. I forgot.
This little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go,
I'm gonna let it shine.
everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
I never get tired of that. This is the time when we share our joys and sorrows of those gathered here and those across the distances. This is how we honor our struggles and our triumphs, our brokenness and our wholeness, which is woven into the human experience. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to add into the chat now, I will try to do my best to try to capture it and read it. I've got my phone with me. Otherwise, if you are able to enter it into the joys and sorrows from our YouTube, from our website ahead of the service, then I'm sure to get it. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared today. Brianna Rotter and Brennan Baker share their wish for your prayers as they deal with the stress of planning their wedding, a joyful stress, but stress nonetheless. And Kristen Lems shared that a beloved former student, Catherine Sardania, is asking for prayers for her husband Ron, who had a massive heart attack, then kidney failure and blood loss. He is now in ICU, and she will be grateful to know that his name was held up for healing in this congregation. A joy from Liz Kennedy and from Liz and Lindsay Kennedy, Lindsay, who was dedicated here, as well as her daughter Olivia. They just had their second child, Leo. Big sister Olivia, Lindsay, and Grandma and Grandpa are all very happy. From Dan Lawrence, a sorrow and a joy to share. This week marks 10 years since the passing of my father, Chris Obst, who is deeply missed for his love and warmth and humor. This week also marks 15 years since I made the best decision of my life in marrying my love and my best friend, Jillian Lawrence. Sorrow and joy woven together. Congratulations to Jillian and Dan. Jerry Galick was in the hospital this week getting a stent after experiencing shortness of breath. He is recovering well, and he and Lorna are looking forward to moving to Three Crowns soon. Calls are welcome. And this sorrow is shared by a friend among us. My parents both died over the course of 2020 and 2021. My mother had suffered with dementia for years before her death in 2020. My sister Mary cared for both of my parents to the end, allowing them to die in their own home on the farm where they had lived for about 70 years together. The family was heartbroken to learn that Mary died suddenly in a fatal car accident on Saturday, December 18th, 2 days after her 50th birthday. She is survived by her wife, Michelle, and siblings, Carla, John, Glenn, and myself. Just checking to see if there are any others that we want to add this morning. Martha Holman writes, my sister Ellen is at home after a hospital stay, still in pain and needing extra care and love. Sue Yoakum writes, my partner is still in Tennessee, still dealing with major psychosis. This is sacred space for our tender offerings, and it is part of the practice of beloved community. Together we expand our celebrations and we lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation with this prayer written by Gordon McKeeman. For simple things that are not simple at all, for miracles of the common way, sunrise, sunset, seed time, harvest, hope, joy, ecstasy. For grace that turns our intentions into deeds, our compassion into helpfulness, our pain into mercy. For providence that sustains and supports our needs, we lift our hearts in thankfulness and pray only to be more aware and thus more alive. Amen. Blessed be.
Hold to the truth within
As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Community Renewal Society. CRS informs and brings people of faith and congregations together in partnership with communities, coalitions, interfaith organizations, and civic leaders to intentionally and decisively transform society toward greater social justice at the intersection of racism and poverty. You may text to give, mail in a check, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate on the memo line if your check is for the shared offering, pledge, capital campaign, or some other giving. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. This reading is a poem, New Day's Lyric, by Amanda Gorman. May this be the day we come together. Mourning, we come to mend. Withered, we come to weather. Torn, we come to tend. Battered, we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. Steadily we vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal, even if we never get back to normal. Someday we can venture beyond it, to leave the known and take the first steps. So let us not return to what is normal, but reach toward what is next. What was cursed, we will cure. What was plagued, we will prove pure. Where we tend to argue, we will try to agree. Those fortunes we forswore, now the future we foresee. Where we weren't aware, we're now awake. Those moments we missed are now those moments we make. And our hearts, once altogether beaten, now altogether beat. Come, look up with kindness yet, for even solace can be sourced from sorrow. We remember, not just for the sake of yesterday, but to take on tomorrow. We heed this old spirit in a new day's lyric. In our hearts we hear it. For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, be bold, sang time this year. Be bold, sang time, for when you honor yesterday, tomorrow ye will find. Know what we've fought need not be forgot, nor for none. It defines us, binds us as one. Come over, join this day just begun, for wherever we come together, we will forever overcome.
Say hello to my neighbor, gonna greet him with a smile. Shake the hand of a stranger, sit and talk here for a while. Gonna tell someone I love them from the bottom of my heart. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. I made my resolution, I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try and change the world.
Gonna make sure my children know right from wrong. Never turn my back on those who need someone. Always gonna try to see myself through another's eyes. Today I'm gonna try to change the world.
Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. I made my resolution. I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. I made my resolution. I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. I made my resolution. I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Gonna take it one day at a time. I've made my resolution. I've opened up my eyes. Today I'm gonna try and change the world. Today I'm gonna try and change the world.
Thank you so much, John and Kara. Thank you, Kylie and Lynn. Thank you for your help with this service. I wanted to acknowledge the reading that Lynn did, New Day's Lyric by Amanda Gorman. You may recognize the name, the first person to be named the National Youth Poet Laureate. She was the one who read that incredible poem at the inauguration last year. She's an activist whose work focuses on issues of oppression, feminism, race, and marginalization, as well as the African diaspora. So grateful for that poem, and so grateful for that song. On Christmas morning, the James Webb Space Telescope launched into the sky and began its long journey away from Earth. A successor to the Hubble telescope, which has been orbiting Earth for 30 years and bringing us dazzling images and a deeper understanding of our universe, the Webb telescope is a whole new ball game. No shade to Hubble, but it is an unbelievable feat of human ingenuity and engineering. The size of a tennis court, it is traveling 4 times as far as Hubble, 1 million miles in 30 days, and is almost 3 times the size. It took 30 years to build, and thousands of brilliant minds working together toward an impossible end. Even more mind-blowing is how far it will be able to look into the past. According to the NASA fact sheet, Webb will directly observe a part of space and time never seen before. Webb will gaze into the epoch when the very first stars and galaxies formed over 13.5 billion years ago. Ultraviolet and visible light emitted by the very first luminous objects has been stretched or redshifted by the universe's continual expansion and arrives today as infrared light. Webb is designed to see this infrared light with unprecedented resolution and sensitivity. This incredible creation is traveling 1 million miles beyond us to see 13.5 billion years behind us, like the Ghanaian concept of the Sankofa bird looking back to inform the journey ahead. Contemplating such vast distances and times puts our lives into perspective. We are truly puny when we consider the enormity and longevity of the universe, which does absolutely nothing to diminish the magnitude of suffering or the brilliance of joy we might experience in any given moment. It is part of the human condition and how our brains and bodies work to feel that we are the center of the universe, even though we intellectually understand we are not. It is an exercise in humility, maybe even a spiritual practice, to hold both our smallness and our significance at the same time. It requires our intention to be aware of our lack of control over most things while not giving into despair or feeling that nothing we do matters. In the words of Dorothy Day, activist, anarchist, and co-leader of the Catholic worker movement, people say, "What is the sense of our small effort?" But no one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. For me, remembering that I am small and in charge of so very little, really, can be a relief. But that relief can also turn into despair if I let it. It is an effort to keep non-attachment to outcomes from becoming disengagement and discouragement. And it is hard to stay open to all the possibilities offered in each moment without feeling overwhelmed. Everything is overwhelming right now. But practiced in intentional community, a vision for the future can kindle our faith in what is possible together. We tell stories of the past to help us understand who we are and give meaning to our lives. And we look to the future to imagine what might be. We must hold both past and future with an open palm rather than a clenched fist. Because we can't change the past, and we can't predict the future. Being in this moment, here and now, can be the hardest place and time to be. Living our mission requires us to consider and act with an understanding of who we have been, where we are going, and what this moment asks of us now. What are we here for? Why do we gather? What does it mean for us to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole? And how do we actually plan to do that? You may remember that on October 10th, we talked about our end statements, which are the intentions we set as a community around 6 years ago as part of our policy governance. You see, the Board of Trustees, who we elect as a congregation, is able to set policy and pay attention to how well we are abiding by those policies when we have a clear road map ahead or ends towards which we are striving. To form our end statements, we went through a process then, 6 years ago and also this year, called the Experience of the Holy, to identify our core shared values and create statements about how we want to practically live those values in the world. In that service in October, we shared a glimpse of the Experience of the Holy as Joe Romeo, Shannon Lang, Carla Williams, and Allie Hunter went through it. And since then, we've had 6 opportunities for all of you to take part in this experience together. These have been rich and generative conversations, and I am grateful to everyone who has participated. Our end statements have served as a valuable compass, orienting us on the path toward actualizing our values, and we have come a long way on that path. 6 years ago, we said we wanted to be a people who are spiritually aware, intellectually excited, diverse in belief, community builders acting for justice. We said we wanted to cultivate spiritual awareness, joy, and wonder through words, music, the arts, and the natural world. We hoped to foster lifelong learning, truth-seeking, and respect for our traditions of reason and faith. We said we wanted to become a people of diverse beliefs, united in covenant, and that we would develop relationships that opened us to the lives of people in our congregation, our community, and our world. We wanted to build beloved community through inclusive welcoming, compassion, care, generosity, and forgiveness. We strived to create a supportive place to take risks and grow in service to others. And we wanted to act for peace and for social, economic, and environmental justice through study, advocacy, and outreach. I think we've done a really good job. We've done good work together, striving toward these ends. Yet we haven't reached the end. Of course not. There is no final end to this work. With so much uncertain, with all the fear that we have been holding for 2 years, it is hard to look past 5 weeks, let alone 5 years. Fear makes us constrict, and some days it is all we can do to stay in the moment and not panic. Yet without dreaming or imagining what might be, without setting our intention of who we want to become or become more of, it is hard to imagine such impossible things like a tennis court-sized telescope launched 1 million miles into space and 13.5 billion years into the past. Don't worry, I'm not asking us to do anything like that, but it is important for us to dream and to set our intentions. In spite of all the challenges we have faced in the last 2 years, for all the plans that have been upended, I still believe we have a powerful purpose. I still believe in our mission, and I still believe we have dreams to fulfill and ends towards which to strive. Do you believe that? I think you do. And that is why many of you showed up to talk about our purpose, about what is holy and important in our lives and what values we want to make sure we continue to live through our faith community. We have gathered some of these expressions, the underpinnings of our beliefs, what gives our lives meaning, and what we long for in the future. In these conversations, we tried to find commonality, to understand what holds us together as a faith community, to understand that what we want to manifest together and how we want to be with one another as we strive. We know we didn't hear from everyone, and so we thought that we'd give you another chance to weigh in. It was hard to draw out single words or even concise phrases from these rich conversations, but these are some of the values that became more clear through our work on the end statements. Community, wholeness, connection, oneness, transcendence, growth, wonder, joy, courage, humility, openness, discovery, accountability, equity, mystery, mutuality, transformation, love, universality, wonder, gratitude, persistence, welcome, inclusion, compassion, stillness, sacredness, and presence. What do you think is the most important purpose that UCE fulfills in your life and in the world? What values do you want UCE to express in the community beyond our walls? Here is your chance to share. I invite you to add to this word cloud by going to menti.com. There's a link in the service description, or you can type in on your phone menti.com into your browser and enter this simple code. 6512-4527. You'll be invited to add up to 3 words. You can repeat any of the words that you see already on the cloud, and any words that are repeated will get larger. Or you can add your own words if what your values are don't quite show up here. Try to add just 1 word per line, rather than multi-word phrases. And if you can't get to the Mentimeter site, you can also add those words to the chat. And we'll add those in later. Let's take a minute to just see how the word cloud changes or grows. What words rise to the surface? connection, accountability, transcendence, wholeness. Add your words as we conclude the service. Keep adding them. From these ideas and all the notes that we've gathered in the conversations over the last few months, we will be drafting our new end statements. And we'll vote on them at our annual meeting in May. As we continue to set our sights on the future, let us remember that how we travel matters as much, if not more, than where we are going or whether we even get there. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not subscribe to the Machiavellian idea that the ends justify the means. We know that even as we set our intentions, we must pay attention to the impact of our actions. Whatever we are trying to do in the world is made real by the way we are together in relationship. Together, we can set our sights on the far reaches of what is possible in beloved community. Together, we will continue to cultivate our intentions of who we want to be in the world and how we want to show up for one another. It is a joy to be on the journey towards such worthy aspirations with you. May we continue to practice faith in one another and in the transformative power of love. May it be so.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. Though the flame is extinguished, we carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment until we are together again.
So sorry that the Mentimeter actually didn't seem to be collecting words, so please just add your words to the chat and we'll make note of them for sure. Our benediction comes from theologian and civil rights leader Howard Thurman. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times or in tempest, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that to which my life is committed. Go in peace, friends. Amen.